at them in more detail.
So, 88 pounds and under.
Okay, welcome to American Dream Garage. Today I'm going to do a quick video on probably the fourth or fifth car that I ever purchased when I started collecting cars. It's a 1973 Camaro Z28 RS LT. And this particular car was a rotisserie restoration probably a year or two before I bought it. And I bought it in either 2004 or 2005. And I would say it was restored for probably a number two or a good solid driver versus a Concours restoration. So I've owned this car for probably 16 to 17 years. It's spent all of that time with me in climate controlled environment. It's never been driven in inclement weather, but it's definitely been driven. I would say it's probably been driven maybe 1,500 miles, summer driving on local roads. So what I'm gonna do is to put it up on the lift and do an assessment of how that restoration has stood up over time, over those 16 to 17 years of probably a light, but use in driving. So anyway, I'll get it up on the lift and we'll take a look. Okay, so I've got the car up in the air. We'll take a quick look underneath so you can see condition. Obviously, or hopefully you can see that the base of this car is, it's fairly clear that it was a pretty complete restoration. Everything appears to have been touched, and it was a rotisserie restoration, and body off, and it's really holding up pretty well. You can see that a lot of this stuff I think will clean up. You got some corrosion on the front header pipes, some scratching on the transmission pan, but looking back, still pretty solid. And that would reflect the fact that the car has really never been in inclement weather and has been stored inside, and I'm going to say driven lightly. We'll get the light up the front so we can see what it looks like. Bring the light all the way up front. So again, some of these places where oxidation shows up first is on the bolts, unfinished parts. Can't tell if that was painted or powder coated or, but anyway, a lot of that stuff can be cleaned up. You can see the dust shields have oxidized. Brake caliper still pretty good shape. All the rubber for the sway bar mounts, ball joints all look pretty good. So anyway, I think that I could probably spend maybe 5 to 8 hours on this, and bring it back closer to the condition it was when it finished. Now, whether I remove some of these items or just clean it, well, it remains to be seen. I'll make that decision, but everything else very solid. I'll show some pictures of the car. Really no damage to the body or to the interior. Still really in the shape that I bought it in. As I recall, there was one nick right there on the end of the spoiler, but that's it. So anyway, we will put this video out there, and then probably next week I'll put another video out where I'll show you the results. Actually quite surprised. All I really did here was go in here and do a little detailing on this Camaro, and I was really shocked how well it cleaned up. And I mean, really not a lot of signs, and I could clean it up some more, that there's any type of damage or except for a couple places. I mean, you can see on like a washer or so forth, and then we'll show the front. The front sway bar is probably the biggest issue that I saw from an oxidation perspective. I don't know what that metal was treated with, but pretty much most of the suspension and everything cleaned up really nice. Again, we're not talking about show quality concourse restoration here. We're talking about a very nice driver quality restoration that, I mean, if I wanted to take a little bit more time and touch up with some spray paint or something, some of these spots, I could, but for the most part I like it to be more honest, to reflect what it really is, versus getting in here with a rattle can. I'd say she's held on pretty well. I'd still put this car pretty close to a 2 from a Hagerty valuation perspective.